After completing my Future Trunks comparison video between his Super Manga counterpart and the Super Anime one, I was kind of left without any ideas because most of the plot lines are very similar, most of the sequences of events are very similar in that they don't even really warrant much discussion. For example, a couple people asked me to do a comparison between Goku and Vegeta in the anime and the manga, and I feel like that's a really pointless video to make because they are virtually the same characters between the two versions. The only real differences that I can notice that I can just list off right here, right now, are the fact that Goku is a bit smarter in the manga than he is in the anime, and Vegeta is less of a whiny bitch about being inferior to Goku, and that's really it. But then I remember that there is one big, massive exception to all of this, one big difference that sticks out like a sore thumb that I can't believe I didn't notice it before, and that's how the god forms work between the anime and the manga, how Goku and Vegeta's powers work between the two versions, how different forms are equal to one another in the way they function between the two versions, and yet they serve completely different functions within their own continuities. This is a whole big thing that you could make an entire series of videos about, and I can't believe I didn't notice it before. So yeah, today I will be comparing the god forms, how they work between the anime and the manga, how both of these use them, which overall system do I prefer, which one do I dislike for my own reasons, and to kind of draw parallels between the two versions, because there are a lot of differences to be sure, but when you actually sit down and look at how the anime uses Blue to how Super Saiyan God is used in the manga, there are very clear parallels between the two of them and how they're utilized. So without further ado, let's get on this son of a bitch of a video. So let's start with the anime per usual, because that's, the bigger one, and that's the one where I feel like there's a lot more to talk about, even though most of it will not be very good for reasons that anybody who's watched the anime should probably know already. So, to create proper context for how the anime system works, we have to go back to the movies, because the movie system is kind of what the anime keeps trying to do, and I feel like it's appropriate to go there because because that kind of sets a precedent for what Toriyama felt beforehand and how his mentality has changed. So, when Battle of Gods came out in early 2013, Goku attained Super Saiyan God, and then he very quickly loses it, and the end result is that Goku gets a really powerful base form, and he also gets a boost to his regular Super Saiyan state. When he was asked to elaborate on this in an interview, Toriyama basically said that Goku was worth about 60% of Beerus's power, and the Battle of Gods extended cut from 2014 reaffirmed this with a scene that said that Beerus hadn't used 70% of his power in a really long time until he fights Goku. Toriyama also further elaborated that he was going to cut down on the Super Saiyan transformation line, that instead of Goku using 2 and 3 or attaining more and more new forms, that Super Saiyan God was a temporary boost state that empowered Goku's base in Super Saiyan 1, and that these were the forms that Goku would use in the future to make himself more and more powerful, whilst 2 and 3 would be knocked by the wayside because base and Super Saiyan 1 would become considerably more powerful than either of them. He also kind of retconned 2 and 3 into being more grade forms instead of being true next level Super Saiyan forms, but there were some implications about this in material already, so it wasn't a really big deal. So, when Battle of Gods was coming out, Goku would have a super powerful base form, and then Super Saiyan 1 would serve as his main transformation if he needed to give himself an additional boost. And this is kind of what was passed over to Vegeta, who would become the co-star of the series from here on out. Then when Resurrection F came out, the system was still in place with Goku having a really powerful base form, but Super Saiyan 1 was altered into being kind of a new form. I say kind of because the way Blue is treated in the Resurrection F film isn't so much as a big new transformation, the way, say, Golden Frieza is, but just kind of regular Super Saiyan with apparently a new power source, that Goku is basically channeling his new god power into Super Saiyan, and after some training with Whis, this is kind of the end result, where Super Saiyan 1 pretty much is the same as it was beforehand, except, of course, it's Blue. And so Blue was just kind of regular Super Saiyan with a new coat of paint and a new energy source. It's kind of like driving the same Lamborghini, but you got a new fuel source for it that's a lot better than the old one. It's the same shit, it just runs on something newer and better. And that was kind of the principle, at least the way I infer it to be, with Super Saiyan Blue in the Resurrection F film. The Super anime continues this trend where Goku has a super powerful base form, and he also attains Super Saiyan Blue, and that's how it seems like in the movie retellings. However, when the Universe 6 tournament comes out, there's a very clear difference in mentality for Toriyama, because pretty much everything he set up with Resurrection F the film and Boggy the film, he more or less ignores it entirely, where he returns not just Super Saiyan 2 and 3, but he returns the entire Golden line, and he kind of seemingly either completely removes the whole concept of a super powerful base form, or, depending on who you ask, they are still empowered with God power, but not as much as they used to be, or they have two base forms, and this is where the anime kinda goes to shit, because I cannot, for the life of me, understand how the hell Goku and Vegeta's powers work. Like I said, there are multiple different interpretations, but the main two are that Goku and Vegeta's base forms are still powered up. They're just not as powered up as they are in the movie retellings because reasons. Or they have two base forms, one regular one that spins off to Super Saiyan 1, 2, and 3, then an empowered base form that's called Saiyan Beyond God, which is a Dragon Ball Heroes thing, but okay, for the sake of discussion, let's just call it that. And then from that, you get Super Saiyan Blue, and then from that, with Kaioken, you get Kaioken Blue. So that's kind of where the anime stands, and it's created this really awkward situation where you have no idea how the fuck strong Goku and Vegeta are, because there are some episodes where Goku and Vegeta raffle stomp, I don't know, someone who's as strong as Super Buu in their base form, and then there are other episodes where base Goku is struggling against Fat Buu. So, what the hell is going on here? The system in place that they had beforehand was fine. It didn't really give you a good indication of how much stronger base Goku and Vegeta were after the whole God stuff in comparison to, say, Gohan or Super Vegeta. It didn't give you that good of an indication, which was a problem, but it was still a fairly simple system to boot. And I really like the whole concept of cutting down the Super Saiyan forms, where base and one single transformation would be how Goku and Vegeta get powerful, get stronger, and I thought that was a cool concept. I thought that the Super Saiyan forms, as popular, as marketable as they were kind of getting more and more convoluted, and back when Dragon Ball GT was being created, Nakatsuru, the character designer for GT and a long-time animator and character designer for the entire Dragon Ball franchise, he talked about how difficult it was to make up another transformation that was even more powerful than Super Saiyan 3, and he chose to go back to Ozaru to create Super Saiyan 4. And so the forms were getting convoluted, and just like I said, Nakatsuru himself was already admitting that, yeah, making something more powerful than 3 was kind of a bitch, because design-wise, where the hell do you go with it? And so I thought it was really admirable, the fact that they were going to cut down on Super Saiyan forms, but bringing back the old forms for the anime specifically was a really big mistake, because it creates this really awkward situation where what the fuck is Super Saiyan Blue supposed to be in the anime? Because if you don't subscribe to the two base theory, Super Saiyan Blue is the Super Saiyan form of a Saiyan who has the power of a Super Saiyan God. But if Goku always has some power of a Super Saiyan God in him, then what the fuck is regular Super Saiyan? Is that not a Super Saiyan form for a guy who has the power of Super Saiyan God? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. The golden Super Saiyan forms had no fucking business coming back. Or rather, when we get to the manga, if they were going to get brought back, they should not have been done in such a shitty form. Ideally, for the anime, I would have liked this. Instead of base Goku and Vegeta after the whole God business being stronger than Super Saiyan 3 Vegito, you soft retcon them into being weaker than, I don't know, Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, or even weaker. Like, say they're strong as Fat Buu, but as a trade-off, you make Super Saiyan Blue really, really fucking powerful. So instead of being a small increase the way it was in the Resurrection F film, Super Saiyan Blue becomes a really big increase to compensate for Goku and Vegeta's weaker base forms. And the whole principle for why Goku and Vegeta have been knocked off from being almost able to beat Beerus in Resurrection F the movie to being still inferior to him is the fact that Toriyama figured out that for a long-form story, it works better for Beerus to be a long-term goal. But if Goku and Vegeta are already so close to him, then that doesn't work. And I guess maybe him returning the Golden Super Saiyan forms was a way to signify to the audience that yes, he's trying to make Goku and Vegeta weaker, but the anime has made an absolute abhorrent mess of it. Also, I don't like the fact that Kaioken is part of this whole God business because it totally fucks the scaling. Because if Goku with a times 10 blue Kaioken is still weaker than Beerus, this means that Goku and Vegeta with regular blue are worth less than 10% of Beerus's power. This is especially egregious for the anime because in the Battle of Gods retelling of the Super anime, Vegeta's LOL Vegeta form is called out to be worth 10% of Beerus' power. It fucking blows. It doesn't work. It breaks the entire scaling. Like, if Vegeta is really only worth like 5 or 6% of Beerus' power, if he doesn't get a new transformation or a power-up, he might as well give the fuck up. Like, he's never, ever gonna get to Beerus. And Vegeta isn't exactly a spring chicken. Like, he doesn't exactly have a super long amount of time in this world. So it doesn't work. The system in the anime, flat the fuck out, does not work whatsoever. So by default, the manga is going to win on this battle because the manga wisely never shows Goku's base form doing anything insane. In fact, in the Battle of Gods retelling in the Super manga, Goku only uses Super Saiyan God, and the second he loses God, the battle is over. There's no base Goku versus Beerus. There's no Super Saiyan Goku versus Beerus. There's only Super Saiyan God, Goku versus Beerus, and when God fades, Goku loses it. And that's not to say that the manga doesn't have retcons, because early on in the Universe 6 arc, there are indications that the manga has a system similar to the whole absorption thing from the films. But from the Universe 6 arc's later chapters, where Goku uses Super Saiyan God as a completely separate transformation, the implication becomes very, very clear. There is no God absorption. Goku has God and Blue, and his other Super Saiyan forms in his base state, while stronger from training, has no God absorption whatsoever. And this is ultimately a far simpler and far more sane system. In fact, I don't understand why the fuck they just couldn't do this for the anime. Like, what is the problem with just saying Goku just has 2 more transformations, God and Blue, that are a lot more powerful than the other ones, and that's it? Like, why the fuck do you need to do this awkward thing where you're changing the fundamental rules of everything beforehand to accommodate a new form? Like, when GT introduced Super Saiyan 4, they didn't do some weird bullshit where 4 fundamentally changes how base Goku works, or the way the other Super Saiyan forms work. So, yeah, just for the sake of simplicity and for the sake of my sanity, the manga has a considerably simpler and more sane system. Goku has 1 base form, 3 golden Super Saiyan forms, and 2 God forms that are more powerful than anything else. And that's it. That fucking works. That's nice, that's simple, that's concise. Everybody can fucking understand it. It works. So, yeah, the overall system battle for this video has to go to the manga. Now, the interesting thing that comes into here is how both the anime and the manga have forms that serve similar functions, but they're not the same forms. For example, Super Saiyan Blue has big stamina issues, and the fact that the manga and the anime talk about this is evidence enough that this is a Toriyama decision, that this is probably another way for him to nerf Goku and Vegeta. The problem with the anime in this case is because the anime says Blue has stamina problems, but they never factor into the story. Let's compare this to another form that has stamina problems from beforehand, that's Super Saiyan 3. Goku has a big knockout, drag-out fight with Vegeta in Super Saiyan 2, and this doesn't take too much of his time away from Earth. Goku, when he turns Super Saiyan 3 on, not use it for battle, not use it for big epic attack, just to turn it on, loses almost all of his time on Earth. Then, when Gotenks activates Super Saiyan 3, that cuts down his fusion time from half an hour to 5 fucking minutes. And when Goku uses Super Saiyan 3 against Kid Buu, he suffers a burnout of ki. This has literally never happened to him before, and I've almost never seen it happen since. We're just using a form in a battle causes Goku to completely burn himself out so that he just can't fight anymore or even transform whatsoever. And Blue in the anime keeps getting called the form that has stamina issues, but the show never really does anything with it. The show never really has any moment where Blue is seemingly hindering the characters. And this is what I said from beforehand, where the anime is kind of following the movies, and the movies treat Blue as a fairly, useful form that's really flexible, really easy, that's really not stamina consuming. But the anime wants to kind of adhere to what Toriyama was talking about, and this creates this really awkward situation where the characters say Super Saiyan Blue from the anime causes stamina issues, but there's no fucking evidence of it. It never happens. It never actually factors into a fight. There's no moment in the anime where Goku says, oh shit, if I keep fighting with Blue, I'm gonna burn myself out. Like, I gotta finish this right now. There's no moment like that. And like I said, when the series touted a form's flaws beforehand, it actually hadn't mattered to the story, as was the example with Super Saiyan 3, and even Grade 3 when Trunks uses it, because Goku says this form takes too much power and makes you really slow, even if it does give you great amounts of strength. And the story actually, Legasp, shows us the flaws of Grade 3 through Trunks' poor performance against Cell using Grade 3 against him. So, yeah, the anime on this whole stamina issue thing is just saying one thing and then showing a completely other. But here's where the manga, I feel, kind of fucks up, because the manga goes into a completely other extreme where it really screws over Super Saiyan Blue to the point where I'm just like, Christ, this form really kind of blows. And the disparity between the two of them is kind of insane. But to go back to the point that started this whole little rant, because God exists in the manga, I think that the system is supposed to work like this. If the anime's version of Super Saiyan Blue is the calm, stable transformation, despite the whole stamina issues thing, its equivalent in the manga would be Super Saiyan God. So, Super Saiyan Blue in the manga would be kind of an equivalent to Kaioken Blue from the anime. And so, when we take this to the next level, it stands to reason that whatever Goku's new form in the anime was, let's call it Limit Breaker for now, is probably going to be something comparable to completed Super Saiyan Blue. And I like the fact that Toru does create this kind of situation where instead of bringing back Kaioken and completely fucking the scaling over, he does give Blue a flaw. He does adhere to what Toriyama was talking about, but kind of like the situation is with a lot of anime and super comparisons, the manga goes into really big counter-extreme to the anime. And I feel like if these two things met one another halfway, you would get a situation where Blue would be a good form that has a flaw instead of being a perfect form that has a flaw in the anime or a highly flawed form that it is in the manga. So this whole situation with Blue is kind of a fucking mess no matter which way you go. And I know that a lot of people are going to prefer the anime version because it's closer to the films, but honestly, it really irks the shit out of me how the anime keeps talking about how Blue has a flaw, but then it never actually has it have a flaw that actually affects the story. Also, it has a flaw, but Goku and Vegeta beat the shit out of Universe 9 with a regular Super Saiyan, and then they say, oh, we're not using Super Saiyan Blue because it costs too much stamina. And then when they have to beam clash against the trio the Dangers, they use Super Saiyan Blue because fucking reasons. Because why would we use Super Saiyan 2 or 3 or something else when we can just go all out to squash a bunch of ants who just beat the shit out of it with regular Super Saiyan? So I have to give it to the manga. The manga does have issues. The manga does have retcons. It does have weird stuff like Vegeta keeping his superpowered Super Saiyan 2 state. it has the whole problem of overemphasizing Blue's flaw, but the overall system of the manga makes a lot more sense. Toyotaro is actually like admitting the fact that Blue has a flaw and he's making it part of the story at least. And also he doesn't have Kaioken, which completely breaks the anime's whole system even more. And also, I have a feeling Toyotaro is probably going to do the whole key leaking business a lot better than the anime does, because the anime goes out of its way to say that key leaking is bad, and the way it presents key leaking is through auras. So that logically means that nobody should have any more fucking auras, except they fucking do, because it's the Dragon Ball Super anime, and it hates consistency the same way Hitler hated the Jews. So, yeah, I have a feeling that a lot of the concepts from the anime, like I said, the key leaking, are probably going to be done better in the manga. So yeah, I'm going to give it to the manga. The manga does have the whole overemphasizing Blue's flaw problem, but the anime is an absolute abhorrent mess that makes absolutely no sense. It doesn't work, and just for the sake of the manga working on any level whatsoever, it wins kind of by default. So really, I kind of feel bad making this whole video ultimately, because it was kind of always going to end up on the manga side, no matter what I do. So, which system do you prefer between the anime and the manga? Do you like the anime better? Do you like the manga more? Why? Please comment down below, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Bye.